There are a lot of things that are destroying college football right now. And to be perfectly honest with you, the destruction of college football is debatable because ratings for the playoffs continue to be astronomical. But even with that being the case, there are a lot of problems right now in college football. The NCAA as an organization is weak. Hell, at this point, the NCAA is completely useless. There is no leadership in college football. There's no one setting rules and regulations, which is why NIL is out of control. The transfer portal is a disaster. There's no longer any loyalty in college football. There's no respect for tradition, which is something that's made college football special. The only thing these kids today are loyal to is who is willing to pay them the most money. They are loyal to short-term gain. They are loyal to people who are taking advantage of them. There are a lot of problems in college football, but according to Joel Klatt from FOX Sports, one of the biggest disruptors in college football is the worldwide leader in woke, ESPN. In most cases, anytime someone is blaming ESPN for the destruction of sports, I will blindly agree with them. ESPN's coverage of the NBA is an absolute embarrassment. For reasons unknown, they have still got supreme dork Mark Jones. Who? Mark Jones! Mark Jones! They have still got this supreme dork calling nationally televised games in the NBA. The drizzling shits that ESPN calls polished coverage of the NBA, their coverage of the league is so bad, Adam Silver publicly criticizes it. Their coverage of the NFL isn't much better, with the NFL being the most watched league in the country. With coverage of the NFL generating good ratings, you would think ESPN would have quality analysts covering the league. Their two most high-profile NFL analysts are Ryan Clark and Mina Kimes. Ryan Clark is a feminine dork who has the ability to cry on command. My Yorkies sit on command. My wife cries when they're not feeling well. Ryan Clark cries when his Uber driver plays Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake. Cry me a river, you betcha I can do that. Mina Kimes is knowledgeable when it comes to the NFL. She might be insufferable politically, but I would never discredit her knowledge of the league. But knowledge doesn't qualify you to analyze a league that you've never played or coached in. Mina Kimes is as qualified to analyze the NFL as a blind mule. For most sports, ESPN's coverage is a polished turd at best, but more than likely, it's the drizzling shits. But college football is one of the few sports where I think ESPN provides excellent coverage. Pat McAfee, Nick Saban, Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler. College football is one of the few sports that ESPN hasn't infected with the disease of diversity. They don't have Monica McDougal, but my name's Monica McNuts.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
They don't have Mo McDougal breaking down film and pretending to know a damn thing about college football. So when I initially heard about Joel Klatt blaming ESPN for the demise, for lack of a better word, of college football, I figured it was just friendly fire between networks. I figured it was someone at FOX Sports criticizing the worldwide leader in woke. But even though the criticism is coming from a rival network, it doesn't mean it's wrong. Because as you're about to see, Joel Klatt is absolutely right about ESPN. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Let's go and get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Fluffer Noggin. I'm not a big snacker. I don't eat a lot of junk food, but if there's one time of year where I break this habit, it's football season. One of my favorite snacks to eat while I'm watching college football or NFL Red Zone on Sunday afternoons, beef jerky. Problem is, a lot of beef jerky tastes like you're biting into a flat tire. Good news is, I no longer have that problem because I started buying gourmet beef jerky from Fluffer Noggin. Now you're probably wondering, what the hell is a Fluffer Noggin? Fluffer Noggin is gourmet beef jerky that is 100% made in America. You don't have to worry about consuming foreign cows because all these cows are homegrown. Each recipe from Fluffer Noggin is handcrafted with the perfect amount of seasoning. First beef jerky I've ever tasted that literally melts in your mouth. Fluffer Noggin comes in a variety of flavors ranging from mango habanero, Korean barbecue. They even have a flavoring of craft beer. Or, if you're like me, you'll just stick with the original style flavoring. So click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my promo code BTL30, BTL30. Receive 30% off your first purchase with Fluffer Noggin. Earlier this week, Joel Klatt was on his own show talking about the demise of the SEC. For decades, the SEC has been the most dominant conference in college football. But over the last few years, with NIL leveling the competitive field, the Big Ten and the Big 12 have not only caught up to the SEC, you can make the case that those conferences are superior. Unfortunately, ESPN is heavily biased in favor of the SEC because they own their broadcast rights. And according to Joel Klatt, with ESPN owning the exclusive rights to the college football playoffs, their bias is influencing the teams that get selected. Check it out for yourself. We talked about this last month when Alabama was selected for the playoffs. On the field, there was no reason for the Crimson Tide, which for reasons unknown has a damn elephant as their mascot. I have lived in the Deep South my entire life. I have seen deer while driving down the road. I've seen wolves. I've seen bears. I've never seen a damn elephant. There was no reason for Alabama to make the playoffs. They got their ass kicked by Florida State, got their ass kicked in the SEC championship game by Georgia. They damn near lost to South Carolina. Then they get into the playoffs and they get their caboose brutally bruised by Indiana. Like I told you guys last month, the only reason Alabama was in the playoffs is because ESPN wanted them included. And the reason ESPN wanted them included is because Alabama is guaranteed to draw ratings. Even with Alabama being humiliated and out of the game by halftime, their matchup with Indiana, it still drew 24 million viewers. This is exactly what Joel Klatt is talking about. Decisions are being made based on business instead of which teams actually deserve to make the playoffs. And with ESPN having a monopoly, they are the ones influencing these decisions. You know, college football kind of reminds me of boxing. If you're under the age of 30 or maybe even 35, it's hard for you to understand how popular boxing used to be. Even with me at 41, I was just barely old enough to see the end of boxing's popularity in the 90s. From what I have been told by friends older than I am, boxing was massive in the 70s and the 80s. But like college football, boxing was always associated with corruption, whether it was fights being fixed, judges scoring rounds incorrectly, Don King swindling his fighters out of millions of dollars, the mafia and organized crime. They were major influences in boxing. Obviously, it's different in college football, although the mafia has been involved in college sports in the past. But with college football, the corruption, it involved boosters paying players or bias in the ranking system. Some programs were favored over others. In this case, it's Alabama making the playoffs over a team like Notre Dame. There were a plethora of reasons for the decline of boxing, but the corruption damn sure didn't help. Anytime there is corruption, there is destruction. The question going forward, will it negatively impact college football? So far, the answer is no. But we have college players refusing to leave. We have college players suing the NCAA, demanding more years of eligibility. These kids don't want to quit and enter the real world because they know as soon as they step off the field for the last time, the money train leaves them behind and they're getting picked up by the bruised caboose. Every year, there is controversy surrounding who gets selected for the playoffs. College football is at a crossroads. They're being pulled in two different directions. They're still trying to be college football while trying to be minor league football at the same time. I get what Joel Klatt is saying by spreading the playoffs across multiple networks, but I don't think that's going to solve the problem. The only thing that will do is spread the bias. ESPN will be biased with the SEC. Fox and CBS will be biased with the Big Ten and the Big 12. If you're going to be the mini NFL, you need to be structured like a professional football league. The NFL playoffs happen every year, and there's never a question as to who deserves to be there because the matchups are set on the field. There needs to be a similar system in college football. The Power Four conferences can be like divisions. They compete against each other during the regular season, but they mainly compete against teams in their own conference. Top 3 seeds in each conference make the playoffs. Doesn't have to be that exact system, but you get the point. But Casey, what about the MAC? What about the Sun Belt Conference? Your plan is not very inclusive. Yeah, this isn't about inclusivity. This is about putting the best teams on the field to compete for a championship. Tulane will never compete with Alabama. Jamie Madison will never compete with Ohio State. Give them their own championship. Let them compete against other programs at their level. This shouldn't be that difficult. Division II, or whatever the hell they're calling it now, they've had their own playoff system for years, and it works. There's never any controversy. There's never questions about who's in and who's out. The only thing preventing this from happening in major college football, a complete lack of leadership, and I think greed. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.